Hi everyone, welcome to the GoldFIsh Report. I'm your host Louisa. Today is Thursday evening, actually, April 25th, 2019. It looks like we may be out of YouTube prison, YouTube jail. We had a video deleted and removed 2 weeks ago, our POTUS report with Dr. Jim Fetzer. You know, I'll tell you folks, our First Amendment battle is your First Amendment battle. It's the censorship. There's a whole new level of algorithmic censorship going on, and we're really being censored big time. I mean, they don't want the truth out. They don't even want an opinion that's not their own for the mainstream, status quo mainstream media, narrative. You can't even have a dialogue anymore. You can't even have analysis or critical, analysis or an opposing view without being called, anti-Semitic or some kind. It's really that bad, folks. This is where our country's going. I just hope you people and everybody out there who's listening does something, anything, just something to say you're not going to put up with this. So what we're doing today is we're going to be talking about the POTUS press briefs over the past couple of days. This is our GoldFIsh report number 355, and we're going to start with, I'm going to screen share, of course, our blog, which we always have our press releases on. And this was, excuse me, one of the last GoldFIsh reports we posted, which was with our YouTube friend Tim Emsley down in Australia, who gave us some insight into what people are thinking down there and how the world events are coming across to the people down in Australia, because they have a lot of cabal down there, just like we do. So it's sometimes very difficult. This is a bill announcement. So this is for April 18th. Medicaid Services Investment and Accountability Act of 2019, which modifies Medicaid authorities by imposing penalties on manufacturers that misclassify drugs, so forth. You can read that yourself. We have a statement from the press secretary here regarding the visit from, the upcoming visit with uh, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan, with Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. Their upcoming travel to Japan, actually, that's what it says. So, no. I'm sorry, this is their coming here. I'm sorry, I'm reading this from the press release. It just doesn't look to be worded properly. But anyway, and also Xi Jinping is going to be coming back. It's not released in a press release yet, but the press pool was reporting that. So there is also a scheduled meeting coming up soon with Xi Jinping. So that would be very interesting. So here we're talking about the visit with Shinzo Abe, and they're trying to make deals. As you know, they're trying to work on trade and share a vision regarding trade, bilateral trade, investment relationships, and this is basically what the schedule is. We're going to go to now a West Wing Reads, and this is interesting. Just what we were talking about right at the beginning was the mainstream media doubles down on Trump conspiracies. It seems like ever since the Mueller report was published, they're trying to now spin Donald Trump, or anyone who follows the president or is a conservative, or or even follows Q particularly, as a actually no, they were talking about people who were following Trump. So that they were, it was a cult. It's always projection, isn't it, folks? It's always projection. They're always projecting what they're doing themselves onto other people. Don't be fooled. Please don't be fooled by all of that. So here they're talking about the Russia collusion story. I mean, they had it dead wrong for 2 years, and I know you've heard enough about this for the past, couple of days now. So we don't really need to go over this. But again, this is just what the press releases were for this day. We're also talking about immigration on here and unemployment. So you'll come here to the blog, to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com, and you can check out the entire story. This was lovely. So the First Lady unveils what her Easter egg festivities were, and who was going to be present. Interesting. Person who was present at the Easter egg roll, which we reported on Monday with our POTUS report, which is on BitChute, because we were banned from uploading our videos on YouTube. It's unbelievable. Very arbitrary. We don't know what the content was that was in question. We have no idea. And there's no recourse. There's no way to find out what it was, because when you hit appeal, you have no idea what you're appealing, other than the decision to be banned. But anyway, Rod Rosenstein was there at the Easter egg roll. So hunt roll, whatever. I guess the egg roll it's called. So that's interesting. If he's about to be fired, and still he may be, but I mean, if he's about to be fired, wouldn't you think? If he's really, I mean, I didn't see Robert Mueller there or James Comey there. So just something to take notice of, folks. It's all I'm saying. Okay, we have a proclamation for National Park Week. So this is basically, I guess, since they're talking about, since Yellowstone and all their wonderful parks and stuff, this is during National Park Week. Excuse me. We have 400. The National Park System includes 419 areas that cover more than 85 million acres, which seems like a lot. That's a lot, actually. That's good. And then, so you can go here. This is long. You can take a look at this. You can read about this if you come to the blog. And we also have Vice President Mike Pence. Congress must act to end the crisis on our border. Okay, reaffirming that we have this crisis and we have to address it in a humanitarian way. But we have to protect our country. Excuse me. Look, since fiscal year 2018, more than 90,000 aliens claim to have a credible fear after being stopped at our border, a 2,000% increase from just a decade before. So, you know, nearly 90% of them were simply released into our country to wait for a court date. So that's been the problem. It's an abuse of our immigration system. I would agree with that, and it does need to be changed. And we do need to fix this, because we don't even know who's here, because people overstay their visas all the time. You know, right or wrong, whether that should be extended, whether there should be a better system. I'm not a policymaker. You know, that's what these people get elected to do. If they're not doing their jobs, get them out of there. Don't reelect them. Don't put them back in the same house. Get them out. It's that simple. It's how we solve the problem. Get them out. Okay, so here's photos of the week, which were beautiful photos. Here's the Easter egg. Excuse me. No, this isn't the Easter egg roll. This is the spring garden tour. I would have loved to have been there for that, but we need to have our viewers doing their part, doing their share, and making those donations so that we can raise the funds to get there. And that would be wonderful if we would go back for that, and GoldFIsh Report could carry that live. Of course, we could live stream that. That would have been lovely. Next time, maybe. So here we have a beautiful mallard duck. It's beautiful pictures, really. They do such a great job, and it's such a beautiful time of year to be there. We have also the president participating in a roundtable on economy and the tax reform. We have also the First Lady, who was at the Albrighton Middle School chorus in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and so she was there visiting the families of the military personnel who are stationed overseas and at Fort Bragg. And so here you also have the president and the vice president swearing in Andrew Wheeler as the new administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, and it looks like his son, his nephew, was there holding the Bible, so that was very nice for him. We also have, so you can come here and take a look. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because they're really lovely pictures, though, I have to say. And there's lots of wonderful things going on here. But please go to the blog and look at the whole story so you can see what's been going on. And so, of course, like I said, we have the GoldFIsh Report Down Under, which we usually have our other co-host in Austria, our other co-host Steve join us, and perhaps maybe next week he'll be able to do that. So the three of us from America, Australia, and Austria, 3 points on the globe, we can give some idea of how people in other parts of the world are viewing the events of the world that we're going through right now. So here we have April 22nd. I guess I can start down at the bottom. There was a lot of press releases. I'm trying to get them done every 3 days, folks, or every 2 days or every third day, but it doesn't always work out with my schedule that way, but I'm catching up. So if you don't see it, it's going to be posted on the blog. I just don't always get to doing the recording, but that's okay. So here we have the president bringing Iran oil exports to zero. As you know, today the price of oil went down, so that's what happened today. The president obviously condemned the terrorist attack in Sri Lanka, and the press secretary, and here's some photos of the egg roll on the White House lawn, so that's really nice. We have a statement from the press secretary on the Medicare trustees report. You could just go take a look at that. We have the president taking action to reduce visa overstays and uphold the rule of law. So this is just what we were talking about. This is on the president's agenda. You can come here and take a look. Look, there's a lot of bullet points here that the president is reducing, that he's addressing, and here further reducing overstays. So things like that, because we need to know who's in the country and why they're here and why they're not going back when they're supposed to, because we want to keep our country safe. So presidential memorandum on combating high non-immigrant overstay rates. Oh, this is just what we were talking about. So just come here, take a look at. There's lots of details if you want to know about that. It's all here on the blog. We have the president working to bring Iran's oil exports to zero, and that's I guess that's in part with the sanctions. We have our last POTUS report, Earth Day, which was Monday, A Republic in Peril, which is where we're at in many respects, and Spygate, of course. That was our most recent GoldFIsh report, POTUS report that was published. We also have a West Wing Reads top 10 things the media got wrong about collusion and obstruction. You're going to want to check this out and take a look. We have the president's message on Earth Day and his commitment. I don't know. He's got kind of a mixed record on this because, I don't know. I don't know. I have to dig deeper into his agricultural policy, environmental policy rather, because there's been a lot of conflicting reports on what he is for and what he's against. So I'm going to go into that, and I'll bring that as a separate report. Statements from the press secretary on cooperation between the United States, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates on energy and Iran policies. So you can take a look at this. It's all related to oil. And folks, you just have to start asking for alternative technology. We really have to stop using and relying on oil so much. It is the purpose of the wars. I mean, it's what all the fighting is about, mostly. At least that's what they're, going to admit to. We really need to stop suppressing, stop allowing the governments to suppress great technology, great inventors who spent, used their ingenuity and their I would say, excuse me, enthusiasm for invention and innovation to create patents of alternative energy, mechanisms that have been suppressed through the patent office, through CERCO, through the which is owned by the it's an agent of the British Crown. So we have it's still a colony here, because apparently CERCO, right, which is an agent of the British Crown, is here controlling our patent office, among other things. So this is senior executive services is all kind of tied into that, which we've talked about a little bit, but we'll get into that in more detail at another time. So let's just keep moving along. This again is regarding the terrorist attack. As you know, the president played a round of golf in Florida on Easter with Rush Limbaugh, and here's a great picture of them together there. Of course, we all know what Rush had appeared on I think it was with Martha McCallum on Fox News the other night. And basically saying, look, this was the president did not deserve this. This was harassment. And, he was very, very outspoken. Here he is with another Lexi Thompson, another pro golfer. Look at that. So they're just buds hanging out, and Secret Service is back there. So come on, take a look at this. Come to the blog, and you can read all about this here. We have, another Resolute Reads talking about the Mueller report. Of course, Attorney General Barr's comments. We have he left egg on Democrats' faces, so appropriate for Easter. We have other comments about crisis on our border and tax cuts. And you can come here, take a look at the rest of this, okay? Strong job market spurs bigger salary offers, so you might want to come check that out. Okay, let's see if I finished with that one. Sorry for the scrolling for a moment, but this is how the blog works. Okay. Yeah, this is a big deal. Let's see, Message Earth Day. I think we just went through all of that. And so it's the 22nd. The 23rd, we have more pictures from the Easter egg roll. He has the Easter bunny with him up there on the balcony. That's really cute. And then here's a little bit more from that event. You see the president and first lady coming down the stairs over here. It's very cute, very sweet. And this was a really sweet moment with the first lady. So you could see the president stopped and took pictures with other kids there. And it was really, really a nice event. This was a really interesting commemorative egg, which says "Be Best" on it. So it almost looks like a Fabergé egg, but I don't think it is. Maybe it is. It doesn't say that it is. Let's see. Is it? She was presented. First lady was being presented. She was presented with this commemorative egg at the diplomatic reception room in the White House. That was real sweet. And here you have an aspiring presidential candidate there on a mini platform. And so that's really nice pictures. There's the Easter bunny. It's really cute, real cute stuff. So let's keep moving along. And of course, there they are. That's a cute picture, actually, waving farewell. And that's an interesting bunny, isn't it? Follow the rabbit. That's the message, isn't it? So here we have the Director of Domestic Policy Council, trouble with Bernie care. So you can go through this. Really it just seems to be quite unreasonable and, not even feasible, I would say, to promote some of these policies that the Democrats have right now. So should take a look at this. Here we have another West Wing Reads. They were talking about the Easter egg roll event. And of course, Bernie Sanders, more comments about more pressure on Iran in terms of sanctions. And we have all kinds of comments and topics on that report. The USMCA will boost economic growth and create jobs. So you have that. You can take a look at this. And since we do have a lot to go through, I'm not gonna highlight. Excuse me. I'm not gonna highlight many more of these because we still have a lot to go through, and I want to try to keep this short and sweet. Okay, if that's possible. So here we go. Start at the bottom. This is a 1600 daily. Inside, look at Ivanka's 4-day Africa trip. So she was on the Ivory Coast and Ethiopia, and which is part of a major push for women's economic empowerment across the developing world. As you all know, folks, China is making massive infrastructure investments in all over the world, actually. I don't see them doing it in the United States yet, but everywhere. We're talking massive bridges, massive development, massive roadway projects, all over the world, from Afghanistan to Africa, and even in massive structures all over the world, including in China. We do post these stories on the GoldFIsh Report news page on Facebook, which is open to the public, so you should be able to check those stories out there. You can go, the president's talking here about trade deals. So definitely here's some video. You could check out Ivanka there if you're interested. Let's go to the president's disaster declaration for Mississippi after severe storms and tornadoes and things of that nature. So that's just a typical declaration of of emergency for that state. We have a statement from the press secretary regarding trade talks with China. So this is important. As you know, our United States Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and, of course, Secretary of Treasury Steven Mnuchin will be traveling to Beijing for continued negotiations on the trade relationship between the United States and China. The talk will begin on April 30th. Vice Premier Liu He will lead the talks for China, and then the vice premier will then lead a Chinese delegation to Washington for additional discussion starting on May 8th. So that's interesting. That's a lot of talk. I mean, look, we're going there, they're coming here, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the report today, so it looks like, the trade talks are moving along well. It just looks like that. So that's good news. Let's see some infrastructure investment in the United States, because we're not seeing that happen here. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see them working on bridges, roads, tunnels, nothing. I see them all, really kind of in disrepair. So let's hope that we can get some investment here as well, one way or another. Okay, so this was yesterday, and of course a statement by the president on Armenian Remembrance Day, regarding those who suffered one of the most worst mass atrocities of the 20th century. And there were 1.5 million Armenians deported, massacred, or marched to their deaths in the final years of the Ottoman Empire. So they remember that, and they're commemorating this. You can read the details on this if you come to the blog. We have a West Wing Reads here regarding Hispanics are lead housing income surge and poverty at record low. So this is wonderful, great, equality, egalitarianism, across, so just remember, folks, when you have these, when you have the mainstream media trying to push that there's all this racism, just take a look at how well people are doing overall. I mean, they're trying to push it. It doesn't exist in my reality. It doesn't exist in your reality. It only exists on that television where they're pushing it and trying to shove it down your throat, in your head, in your eyes, however you want to take it. Just don't fall for it, please. Please be discerning and tell them that you do not consent, basically. So here we're talking about excellent, stock market gains. We're talking about Lockheed Martin orders and are hiring rather, and of course they're talking again about the caravan with these immigrants. So you want to take a look at the details of that, folks. Come to the blog. Here we have another story regarding, this is huge though. Here the president is fighting to end the opioid crisis that has devastated too many American communities, and there's a lot of information in here. There's lots of programs. This is very bullet pointed, so you have a lot of details as to what they're doing. And it's stopping the drug supplies from coming in is the president's main agenda. It's his main goal. And we're talking about laws that are also being passed and enacted, preventing the opioid abuse, and also helping people once they are addicted with, through recovery, as they're pointing out right here. So this is important as well. So this is a really, really wonderful thing. I'm really glad to see the president doing this. There's Support Act. These are important laws that are going to help. That was a bipartisan, believe it or not, bill. And so this all has to do with stopping opioid abuse and reducing that drug supply. This was a very lengthy transcript printout here. These are remarks by the president at the prescription drug abuse and heroin summit. It says RX, so I'm presuming that's prescription. This was in Atlanta. This is very long. And the first lady was, actually he's talking, the first lady and he were both there. Some of the points, the highlights I wanted to make was they were talking about the STOP Act, stops cocaine shipments into America, helps Custom and Border Patrol to combat these drug shipments and coming into our country. We're talking about methamphetamine, we're talking about opioids, we're talking about fentanyl, we're talking about heroin, which kills about 300 Americans a week. That's terrible. 90% enters our country through the southern border. That's a pretty well-known statistic. I haven't seen anyone in the mainstream media actually refute that number. So it's pretty high. We have good news. Mexico is actually starting to detain and deport illegals that are at their border and sending them back so that they don't make it to ours. So, folks, this is good. This is progress. The president's done a lot, folks. You have to give the man credit for what he's done. This is, he's very serious about this. And of course, here you have it on 1600 Daily. President Trump and First Lady join leaders in America's war on drug abuse. Now, that transcript is the event that they're referencing here. So you can go to all the details. They're also talking about the American car industry is coming back, other trade issues. So take a look at the reports here on the blog. This is interesting now. This is an executive order that transfers responsibility for background investigations to the Department of Defense. And so this was interesting. This is allowing the Secretary of Defense to have the authority to conduct security, suitability, and credentialing background investigations for Department of Defense personnel. Requires the Secretary, in consultation with the Director of Office of Personnel Management, sounds so bureaucratic, so much red tape, my goodness, big government, to provide for a phased transition to the Department of Defense to conduct such investigations conducted by the National Background Investigations Bureau. Okay, there you have it. There's also some information in here regarding other executive orders in terms of amendments. So you can see here further amendments to Executive Order 13467. Here's one regarding executive order, another executive order. So there's where did it go? It's further down. There's other updates in here. So you can take a look here. You can, if you want to take a look at what the details are, we'll talk about it in another POTUS report, I'm sure. Probably on Monday, I'll go into a little bit more detail about that. Here we're talking another West Wing reads. We have Border Patrol says apprehensions in the Rio Grande Valley have already surpassed all of 2018. So that's good. Hopefully they'll get the message and stop coming, and then it won't be such a burden on our system. But we can't handle an infinite number of people at the border. There's a limit to what we can process and what we can handle. So I'm glad to see that's working out. So this is basically just a summary of those other topics that we talked about. You can come here and take a look at that if you'd like. Here we're talking about the USMCA draws widespread support as an economic win for America. Talking about advanced technology. Well, I'd like to see that. Advanced medical technology. Yeah, let's see some advanced medical technology. I'd like to see a nice med bed or something that, really advanced technology. Come on, folks, this is almost 2020. American automotive policy, check this out, Soybean Association. So regarding trade, I think we have a huge soybean trade deal with China, actually. So it's a really huge deal for us, so it's important. if we don't get rid of those GMOs, nobody's going to want any of our food. We have to get rid of the GMOs, and I hope President Trump is committed to that. Seems like something he would do, but I'll have to look into that in more detail. Lots of other issues here regarding farmers and trade, all kinds of issues regarding trade here. So come and check this out and take a look. And of course, the last one that we have has to be about the well, it says the MSNBC has noticed the border crisis, but will congressional Democrats? So we'll see what happens. We know that Joe Biden announced his run for the Democrat ticket. He's out in the lead. Of course, we always know what happens when the first ones are out and then the lead, and they don't usually don't make it. But you know, he's trying. I guess look, when you spend, come here and take a look at the rest of this. When you spend 2 years, okay, trying to just destroy the president and take the president down, and you put forth nothing in terms of, look at the condition of the states. I'm sorry, look at the condition of San Francisco and Los Angeles. These are the districts of Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. Take a look at what's going on in New York State. You know, look, folks, it's becoming more and more Orwellian every single day. And if you, really, the whole idea is for all of us to unite and, you know, decide this for ourselves, not allow the power broker elites to make those decisions, because they're not going to be in our favor. They haven't been. You know, they throw us a few crumbs every once in a while. But folks, it's really not in our best interest. Stop those chemtrails. That's what I say the first thing to do, since everybody always has to clear their throat all the time because of all this junk we're breathing from the air. So the president's serious about environment, then stop those chemtrails. You know, it's a lot. It's just, you know, look, there's no question there's some hypocrisy there. You know, you're concerned about the environment, then stop allowing the oil drilling. Come up with you know, release those patents for alternative technology. We don't need oil. I'm sure we don't need oil. I'm sure there's a lot of great other, you know, like there's 0-point energy, there's magnetics, there's all kinds of, and I'm not a physicist at all, but hey, you know, I know there's a lot of patents out there that have been suppressed that we can definitely gain technology and supremacy over the use of oil, you know, that kind of oil. We have to risk, you know, poisoning our water system for water leaks. I'm sorry, for oil pipeline leaks and things like that. So have we not learned anything from Standing Rock? So folks, that's it for tonight. We'll be back over the weekend with some more POTUS news briefs, and then we'll be back on Monday for another POTUS report. Hopefully we'll get this uploaded. If you don't see this on YouTube, go to BitChute, the GoldFIsh report on BitChute. Of course, the link to BitChute will be on the blog too. So if you don't know where to go on BitChute, just take the link off the blog and you can access the report there. So lots of news. The president is always so busy. This doesn't even include his intelligence briefings and the other small little things he does around, you know, not that it's small, they're big deals, but I mean, there's other, like lunch meetings and things like that. It's not included in these press briefs. So the president's a very busy man, and he's doing a lot of good work, I think. And I think, you know, there's going to be a lot more to be done. We did hear that there will be a report released in 2 weeks regarding Comey, James Comey. We know, and we're all waiting for that Inspector General Horowitz report to come out regarding the investigation into the Clinton, you know, the initial IG report said there were crimes against children. Well, we're waiting to hear what that is. So we're waiting to see what that's going to bring. So stay tuned, folks, because we will bring it to you. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for viewing.